Hello, and welcome to ONCA 101, Who Can Be a Director or Officer of an Ontario Nonprofit? My name is Benjamin Miller. I'm a lawyer who serves nonprofits and charities, and I'm of counsel with the B.I.G Charity Law Group. And in this video, I'll explain under the ONCA, the Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, the requirements for who can and can't be a director or an officer of a nonprofit that's incorporated under Ontario law. So let's get started. Just a quick disclaimer, the following presentation is just general legal information. It's not legal advice specific to your situation. So if you have a question specific to your situation, I suggest you get advice from a competent legal advisor. You can always reach out to us and I'll share some contact info at the end of this video. So just to get started with some definitions, what is a director, what's an officer? So directors are also referred to as the board or the board of directors. They're elected by the members of a nonprofit, and they oversee, they're responsible for generally overseeing the nonprofit. So all aspects of the nonprofit ultimately fall to them. So there may be employees or volunteers who deal with the day-to-day, but ultimately it's the board who's legally responsible for what happens with the nonprofit. Now officers are a bit different, and this is where I see some confusion often. All board members, all directors are equal. They're just directors, right? But then you'll get on the board the appointment of someone to be the president or the secretary or the treasurer. So the members elect the directors who sit on the board, and then the directors will appoint an officer. The difference is the directors are collectively responsible to oversee the general operations of the nonprofit. Officers are individuals who are specifically responsible for some task. They're the president or the chair, so they chair the meetings. They're the treasurers, so they oversee the finances, what have you. So what is required to be a director? Who can be a director? Well, directors must be individuals. So what does that mean? That they have good personalities? It means that they aren't corporations. So if you are an organization that has a bunch of chapters in different areas, it can't be the parent corporation who is the director. You have to have an individual who sits as a director. They need to be at least 18 years old. They must be considered mentally capable by the law. So that you run into this issues when somebody, for example, because of their age or dementia or what have you, is found that they can't oversee their property anymore. That person is disqualified from being a director, and they can't be bankrupt. But interestingly, there are a few things that I often see people assume might disqualify you from being a director that doesn't actually disqualify you from being a director. So for example, directors and officers, they do not have to be members of the corporation unless your bylaws require it. So you can go outside the membership of the organization to find the talent you need. Directors and officers do not have to be, and I'll move my face here, no, wasn't covering anything, residents of Canada. So if you are outside of Canada or you're living in Canada but you don't have your permanent residency yet but you want to start a nonprofit, you can, and you can sit on the board of nonprofits if you're invited to. And finally, employees can be directors or officers, but this can lead to complications around conflict of interest, which I'll deal with in another video on this channel, so stay tuned. Now, finally, I'll point out that to be an officer, so to be a president or a secretary, you don't have any of the requirements that you had for being a director. So you have basically total flexibility. Officers don't even have to be members of the board. So you can really go out and recruit. You don't need to stick to the tiny pool of the people who are already sitting on your board to serve as officers. So that's an overview of the requirements to be a director or an officer of an Ontario nonprofit. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at benjamin.miller@charitylawgroup.ca or visit charitylawgroup.ca and see some of our other great counsel who might be able to help you.